Hello, everyone. Okay, loud enough. Thank you, thank you. Okay, so where do I begin? I want to thank the organizers for putting this together because it's very insightful for myself, and it's very nice to meet people who kind of knows what you're talking about. Like finally, so this morning's talk, I was like, yes, yes, yes. Like I didn't have to explain all these things. So I wanted to bring back to what you mentioned, the sounds. I actually have a piggy bank from Japan. Where you drop a coin, every time you drop, it will be a different sound of the train station. So I love that. And then, yeah, okay. So I will quickly run through because there's quite a lot to cover. And I have this habit of overrunning. So Richard, if I overrun, just shout yalla, okay? Because yalla to me means let's go, okay? It means, it can be very politely like yalla, let's go, or yalla, like get along with it, yeah? Okay? Okay, I will very quickly start with Singapore. I actually forgot to put this slide. I wanted to jump straight into yalla, let's go to Qatar, but I realized I needed to give a background. So I added it just now. A bit of a background, I started off observing commuter behavior in one of our oldest station, Outram Park station. So at this exact escalator, you will see people going up and down the same set of escalators every single day. So the reason why I had the chance to observe this was I had an internship at that station. I never went to this station until that 1 month. And then every single day I will see people of different demographics, of different age group. Not just tourists, not just elderly, not just kids, but everyone making the exact same mistake. So I was just thinking, why not just fix this sign? Because as a layman, you'll be like, oh, just change the sign, it will be fine. So at the same time I was in design school, I had to find a research topic. So when I started to change this design for fun, I realized when you touch one sign, you touch every sign. When you touch every sign in the station, you touch the whole network. So then it evolved into me proposing it as a research topic for my prof, and then it got approved miraculously because like there's no wayfinding school back then. So what they could provide me was a platform to sort of help them understand the challenges. So if they don't get it, that means my audience wouldn't get it because at the end of the day, they are the users. So that was a really good training ground for me to try to pitch the problem, frame the problem over and over again. Every week I have to reframe the issue of what's going on in the metro in Singapore to the point where I could put together a research thesis, and then it was published. And then again, miraculously by chance, the Transport Authority saw the work, and then we had the chance to collaborate. And then for 5 years, we worked on research and prototyping. We spent a lot of time tearing down egos and undoing a lot of the works over 20 years, trying not to offend people along the way. And then finally, we launched in the newest metro line, Thomson East Coast Line. And yeah, so that was what happened, okay? And I wanted to say, if you notice, Yo just now, he mentioned the yellow color was used in Japan effectively as the exit. So I have never been to Japan because I was a poor student back then. And then I chose yellow because there was this one sign that really annoyed me in Singapore. It was like a breakdown sign. So they plastered the sign to tell you that if the train breaks down, you should go to exit XYZ, find a bus as a replacement. But the sign is there permanently, so every day it looks like the train is broken down. I wanted to remove that sign, so I took the yellow from that sign and said, that shall be the exit. And then the management wasn't convinced. We had to run a whole survey to get people to choose between different colors. And then we did a quick online study, and somehow yellow won, and then that's how yellow became. And then I went to Japan as a grad trip, and then I was like, oh my God, I was right. Yellow was the right color, and then that happened, okay? So I'm very happy, and I love Japan because they validated a lot of the things we did. So now about Qatar. These are some of the photos I shot. Inland sea, which is very interesting because it's a desert, but there's water right next to it. It's very fascinating to see. The West Bay, which is like the CBD area by the waters, and then the famous National Museum. Not sent here by the tourism board, but you can visit Qatar. There's a lot to see, okay? And all connected by the metro, okay? So now I'll quickly talk about the World Cup because I think that's something that everyone knows Qatar for now, and very proudly actually was hired 6 months before the World Cup to fix the metro. Obviously, I'm not the one person hired to fix the metro, but like, I didn't know what I was signing up for. They just decided that, hey, we want someone, and then why not you come? And then I didn't even know because Singapore is so small and we have never hosted such a massive event, I was really naive. I didn't know what was in store for me, and I just thought it was another metro job, and I like metro, so why not just try? But turns out, later on, I learned that it's the world's most compact World Cup. Okay, so this is where I was, where I'm at now. Hopefully, after this talk, I'm still there. At Qatar Rail, so it's the transit authority for the rail network. So we design and we build new stations. We also look at the metro operations, we look at crowd management and customer experience planning. So this was our involvement during the World Cup. And then we have RKH, which is our operator. It's a joint venture by RATP Dev and Keolis. Okay, so they are the network operator for both the metro and tram. And then we have SCDL, which is the Supreme Committee for Delivery and Legacy. They are the people responsible for the host country planning and operations. So a lot of the success story that you hear about the World Cup, actually the credit goes to them. They've done a great job connecting people from the metro to the stadiums and bringing people around the whole network. Okay, so what did I do? I actually worked with Supreme Committee very closely to plan the signs inside the metro, but they take on after the metro. Okay, so I want to give you some context on why this metro is such a, why this World Cup is such a big deal, and that I feel like I want to celebrate the fact that it's the most compact. Okay, so I took Germany as an example because it's kind of neutral today. There are 12 stadiums scattered across Germany. So again, because I'm from Singapore, I don't really understand World Cup. I did not know that people actually had to fly around a country to watch the games or to chase or follow your team as fans. In contrast, Qatar is this small compared to Germany, and then these are the 8 stadiums in Qatar. So for the first time in history, you can take metro from one game to another game within the same day, and I did literally that. I watched something in the afternoon, and then we took a metro, and then we watched another one in the evening. It was a very tight experience, and fans from around the world constantly intermingle, and that was like a very special experience. Again, I did not know, I don't follow World Cup, but a lot of fans actually highlighted that that was a very special thing. So I'm very happy to be part of that. Yeah. So this is the metro signs. What we did, because 6 months before the game, I couldn't have changed anything about this. We did try to fix some of the issues on ground. For example, we uprooted 2 signs and rotated them to, because that was critical. We changed some of the panels where we could, but we focused a lot of our energy with SCDL's design. So this sign on top you see are guidelines and design from the SCDL. They hired a consultant. And then what we did was we tell them the placements, the message they should share. And then we work very closely with our transport planning team. So they will decide, we will close certain exits for crowd management, and they will make sure that our signs are communicating with each other. So they could paste something up there, and we have to make sure that our signs don't conflict with the message. And then finally, they have World Cup dressing. That is also done by SCDL, but also approved by us, because we don't want people to be misled by colors or placement of the dressing, because they are not just for show. They actually have, they actually influence the flows. Yeah? Okay, so those are signs inside the metro, and then after the metro, they actually continue a much larger scale of work connecting people to the stadiums and key tourist attractions like the Corniche, and this is Souq Waqif. Okay, all connected by the metro. So now I'll talk to you about a bit about the metro. It was built very rapidly within 6 years. We have 3 lines, 34 stations. It's in operation since May 2019. I'll show you some of the stations that we have. This is Bida station. It's an interchange between 2 lines. Okay, you notice there's this vaulted design. Not an architect, I can't tell you much, but I love it. I love how it looks. And then this is Assad station. Most of our station has the typical shelter design from the outside. Okay, so they share a very uniform design language throughout. And then this is Musharraf, the largest station. It's a 3-line interchange. Yeah, and it was selected as the world selection for the Prix-Versailles back in 2020. Okay. So during my 1.5 years, almost coming to 2 years in June, I actually gave a shot at redesigning the maps. So this is Lusail tram map, and that's the Doha Metro map. This was launched last year, December, and that was launched this year, Jan, coinciding with Asian Cup. Okay, I'll talk a little bit about the design of the maps. Okay, before that, this is the existing map. It's not, how do I say, it's not wrong, right? But we found that there were areas that we could improve on. So something that I felt personally was that the curves of each line is not consistent, and I wanted to fix that. And then we have this congested area in the middle, which actually makes certain stations share the caplet. I mean, caplet is a Singapore term, the station code, I would say, right? So I needed to fix this, and I thought there were a lot of room for us to expand the map to make it more legible. So this is the new map that I launched. The difference between working on this map versus Singapore, right, is that because Qatar's system is so young, there was not a lot of legacy to protect. So getting this approved was relatively easy because as long as you prove that it worked and that we have a plan for the future, the stakeholders were generally very open about it. So how did I get this approved? I actually designed this all the way to the phase 2 of the network, which I cannot show you, unfortunately, because it's not yet launched. But using the future map and its complexities, I was able to convince the management that we need to change and fix it today. Okay? And if you notice, there's P inside because Qatar is still a car-centric city. So one of the lessons we had during the Asian Cup is that people tend to use the park and rides facility to use the metro. So we added the P to highlight that you can actually easily translate into the metro because we have facilities scattered around the network. Okay? And the congestion is sort of fixed here. And in the future, there will be even more congestion because lines will actually go through here. So why did I not, the color not translating. So why did I not do a map like what we did in Singapore? This was launched in 2019 as part of the new Thomson line that I mentioned earlier. I'm sorry, but the color is not showing. If you can see over here, there's waters, and there are a lot of elements of the city. So why did I not do the same thing for Qatar? Because of stakeholder management. Like I mentioned, we needed to roll this out quickly. So I didn't want to push the boundaries too much, and I wanted to fix the issue today for Asian Cup as an inroad. Then we can talk about adding delight and adding additional design elements to it. Okay, so this is a lesson on stakeholder management because for this map, we actually went through a lot of iterations. I took over a year to get this approved. Meanwhile, the Qatar one took about 1 month for approval. Okay? And this is what we did for Asian Cup, similar to what we did for World Cup. We planted the stadiums, the 9 stadiums for Asian Cup across the network map, which I thought this is quite a privilege because I can't really think of another context or another city that we can do this because there's just no need for it. But for Qatar, it's very unique. We can actually plant the stadiums and tell you how to get there as a navigational tool. So this was done in conjunction with wayfinding. So if you notice, each of these elements, each of these stadium icons have a unique color. We actually adopted this color from Asian Cup's brand guide, which is used for dressings at each stadium. So then the wayfinding is sort of continuous. If you can't read anything, you can't read Arabic, can't read English, you can almost just follow the color of the stadiums to the right game. Okay, now we'll talk about tram. The tram is still being finalized and opening in phases. So right now we have 7 stations in operations. This is the existing map that is on site in one of the stations that is not yet open. So if you notice, there are layers of maps to kind of help you. But what I found challenging is that the line map changes for every single station, which means as a user, you have to relocate yourself, reposition where you are each time you look at the map. And then on top of that, they layered the tram network map with the metro, which kind of makes you think which network are you actually on. So what I did instead is a very different solution. Number one, we redesigned the map, which I showed you just now, but I also shaded the map, the part of the map that doesn't apply to you as a user at that particular point. This is, again, quite unique for this particular type of network because of the way the network is being designed. So why does the shading matter here? It's because of the one-way traffic. So if you're at this station, which is Roudart Lucille, you can only travel one way around the loop. So we wanted you to make sure that you know that you're going to ride on the correct line to go to two vastly different stations. Okay? The turquoise line will lead you to one place, and then the orange line will lead you to another. Yeah. So this was quite a challenge because I can't find an example of doing this, and also I felt like it was a gamble, but it paid off because when explaining to people, they had a hard time trying to understand what I was trying to do. But the moment you put it up, they just get it. Yeah. So this is another example. We wanted to make sure that people know which side they are boarding. So for this particular station, our SIL is an underground tram station with a split platform design. So this means you have to choose platform 1 or 2, and the decision can cost you a lot of time. Either you board the wrong train and you go on a loop just to come back to the same spot, or you head to the metro station as intended. So this was critical and kind of the centerpiece where we actually did a prototype of the entire new sign system at, not this, but this station, NIFA, to help get stakeholders buy-in. Okay? And yeah, my designer actually worked quite hard because she had to shade, my team actually had to shade every single station. It's unique for every station. Okay, so this is an example of the underground split platform that I mentioned. Right before you commit to the platform, you have to decide whether this is the correct site to go to. These walls were originally empty and there were no indication of where you're headed. And then this is an at-grade platform where the same set of signs you notice are adopted in a different fashion. Okay, again, this was not mentioned previously. And then for bonus, we have new route maps at the platform's screen doors, only for underground stations, obviously. So this was a key challenge because we have so little space up there, and yet we have to squeeze in a lot of information. So this was a really fun exercise because I didn't think I could do it, but like with the team's help and a lot of iterations and stakeholders' engagement, we actually created this together. Okay. And this is how it looks like. Previously, the team before I joined, they had tried to solve this by doing it a little bit different. So what they did was they have the orange line on one side and the pink line on the other side because they don't want to collapse the map into one. But that kind of resulted in a different behavior, which is queuing for different lines. Yeah, and it almost is dangerous because if you can see, the orange line goes to a lot more stations than the pink line. So if the train comes and the tram comes and you assume that you are waiting at the correct door and you board, you can end up at a completely different part of town. So yeah, this is what happened. And these platform numbers were added after, as part of this exercise. Previously, there was no platform numbers. We thought to introduce that because of the complexities of the network. Usually, a tram shouldn't be so complex, but this city is very large. So we thought to inject that as a case. I realized I forgot to say why we even had a chance to redesign this. So there was a project on renaming the stations to align each tram station to better to the surrounding of the place. So what happened was there was a renaming exercise of the place, and then they wanted to update the station signs to update the names. And I took that as an opportunity. So I said, I don't want to just change the signs. I want to fix it together. So thankfully, I have a very supportive team and management, and then we did a whole case study. I think that should be the next slide. Okay, I'll tell you later. Whoa, okay. That was not supposed to happen. Okay, so I will show you a bit of example what's going on later. But before I jump there, I want to simplify the signs for everyone as part of the tram works. This was an observation during the World Cup. But even before the World Cup, the team before me actually tried to solve this issue. So what's the issue? The issue is that our toilet symbols are a bit too cultural, And it can be quite difficult for foreigners to understand which is male and which is female. And to solve that, someone actually went in to add a sign with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 languages, and then a symbol and an M. It kind of solves it if you look at it as a picture. But when implementing, it created another problem. Because in every of our metro stations, we have a prayer room for male and female, we have toilets, and we have ablution, and we have handy and accessible toilets. So firstly, you have to identify the corridors for male and female, and then you have to identify the correct door to open. So it could result in a bit of an awkward situation if you are headed to the toilet but you are disturbing our friends who are preparing themselves to pray, okay? Yes, okay, so that is another problem. So we realized that adding more signs isn't necessarily helpful. And one fun fact, over here we have Urdu. Urdu uses the Arabic text to write their language. So we have people writing into us complaining that there's a typo in Arabic because it doesn't make sense to them. So yeah, more isn't always the best, okay? So we want to find a balance with our international commuters. And so this was designed and approved for launch, and we launched them on the tram network first. Okay, what's the difference? We change it to the international standard, and then we kind of lengthen the skirt for the ladies to make it more appropriate. Yeah? I thought this was gonna be very hard to get approvals, but our management immediately understood what we were trying to do. Okay. And the next one. So again, more is not always better. So there's this way out symbol that we notice on the network that changes according to the arrows where possible. And then we have the Arabic word for way out, which I cannot read, and then way out in English. And then we have the exit code, which was added later by the team. And then we have the road names, if you know where you're headed. I don't even know where is Khalifa Boulevard South. Like literally, I don't know right now. So that's that. Okay. So there are many, many ways to tell you way out. But to me, it looks just like clutter. So what I did was we created a new exit code with inspiration from the shelter that I showed you earlier. Because these shelters are so iconic along the road. If you were a driver, you would see this very frequently. And if you're a commuter, you will recognize them from afar. That being said, this is not 100%. I mean, it's not every single exit are like that. Okay, but it's enough to sort of give you an idea of what's going on. Okay, so this happened. And then, again, it was approved after about 50 designs. Like, I did so many. I spent more time designing this icon than the map because this was really difficult. And I wanted to, I wanted to really take in the architectural element while making it clear still. So we tried so many designs. And we initially designed a different icon for tram because tram exits are different. But I realized we have interchange stations and I will have 2 different exit codes. So then we decided to just standardize it across the board. Sorry, I left my Apple Watch in Singapore, so I have no watch now. Okay. Yes, so this was the tram I wanted to tell you about just now. So to get stakeholders buy-in, we actually created like a case study of what's the issue we have today on tram and how can we improve it. We left this up in the office for about a month and we have everyone from the office, the architects, the planners, our chiefs, and even our MD, we came and gave them a talk. We really needed them to understand the issue before we just pushed ahead with it because we wanted the business to feel like they're signing up for a good deal. Yeah, and then we went on to do a prototype in one of our stations that's not open yet, and then we invited everyone to have a walkthrough to get an experience of what's going on before we finally got approvals to implement the new sign system. Okay, where are we now? Okay, so these are the icons that are redesigned as part of the system. So the metro and tram logos are as existing, but they have no holders if you notice. Like the M just stands by itself. And in the past, rather existing sign, we have the metro icon with a color code to represent each metro line. But we wanted to tie the brand closer together, so I created a holder to hold the line color when necessary. And the same thing for tram, a holder that is of a different shape. And everything related to these 2 networks or systems will be based on the 2 different shapes. So the one with the line below, in this shape will be platform 1 for tram, And then the same idea, 1 with an underline in the square will be platform 1 for metro. Yeah? However, as a viewer, you may think like, then people may think that it's line 1 for tram. How can you make sure that that's not the case, right? One of the key lessons that I learned over the years, right, while working with stakeholders is that you cannot show them signage on a screen and expect them to get it. People will always have something to comment about. So either you make a physical sign or drag them to the station or the space to see it. Because 1 here really doesn't make any sense. But when you're in the platform, you will get it immediately. So that's something that I had to learn quite hard in Singapore. And then, yeah, so now we know, okay? And then information, as you know, the lift icon. Previously, the lift icon were 3 guys, 3 Qatari guys inside the lift. But I wanted to make it inclusive, so I dragged the wheelchair into the lift. Then our exit code, and then our lift, our toilet icon. Okay. Okay, finally, I just wanted to talk about Kashidas. I find this very interesting for non-Arabic readers. This is a very cool feature that I learned when in Qatar, that you can simply add to a text, right? To kind of, it's stylistic, it has no meaning. The function is purely stylistic, and I found that so fascinating of the language. Like, we don't have this in any other language. So I actually secretly use this in our metro map because I wanted the station name to match nicely with the English. So sometimes you will see Kashida appearing. Yeah, and I love it. Okay, and finally, to conclude everything I just shared, I think the most challenging part, right, is usually the people, not the design. So, I mean, for the students here, don't spend so much time designing, I would say. Spend more time looking at the people, thinking about them, designing with them, showing your design to them, you know. I think that was one of the key reasons how we managed to launch anything at all. It wasn't really like, I would say you will never get a chance where you design something and people will go, wow, it's fantastic, let's launch it immediately. Like, I don't think you should expect that kind of reaction. It's more like over the time they get it and they're like, why are we not doing it yet? You know, and then they would support you and sponsor you to do it. So yeah, focus on the people and not the design, ironically. Okay, and that's all from me. This is our Gold Class train. You can come and ride it. Okay? Yes, thank you.
I'm a bit disappointed though because I didn't get to say yalla.
Yeah, how's my time? Yalla, yalla.
Yeah,
okay.
You have enough time. All right, questions.
Thank you. Beautiful presentation.
Thank you.
I have a very small question. So what's the point in numbering platforms? Can you elaborate on that?
Okay. So the reason why we number the platform is because we notice people may not know their directions. Because in Qatar, station names can get very, very long. And it's easier for me to help someone who doesn't understand the language to say, go to 1. Or because,
do you know
because they will try to ask me what's the solution.
So basically the numbers don't work by themselves, but somebody who knows the system can use the number as a reference to help somebody else, or?
No. So we have, I mean, the 1 is on the directional signs.
Yeah, but why? Like, maybe I don't understand the situation, but when I'm trying to find the train that I need to board, I would use a map, or I would use geographical directions like north or south or uptown or downtown, depending on where I am. And then when I find out where I want to go, then it says that this is platform 1 and this is platform 2. But by that time, I already have decided that I need to go northbound or southbound, so this number doesn't add anything. So I don't understand. So is it only for the situation when one person tries to explain something to the other person, or is there a situation where this number can help like a single person navigating the system?
Okay, that's a great question. So you are saying, why didn't I add platform 1 to the map, for example? Like, the information didn't come until at the station. It's almost like too late, right? So I would say, number 1 would be, yes, I would be able to help someone. I would just point and say, go to 1, for example. The other one would be announcements. So I could say platform 1 is closed, and I can at least identify the space that is closed. Yeah, so to me, it's more of an identifier rather than part of the wayfinding element. Because you are right. If you don't know, if say I'm going towards the north, but I didn't tell you that north is 1, then how would you use the 1 in the first place? Is that right? Yeah. So to me, it identifies the space more than wayfinding, more than like a decision making. Yeah. Okay, I hope that helps. Yeah. Actually, to add on a bit, right? I believe that no, it's fine, it's fine. Yeah. I believe to add that was the mindset before, because the platform numbers was never mentioned. It was only used by staff. So at the back end, actually, in the walkie-talkie, they would tell each other one or two, but the commuters have no clue what you're saying. Yeah. Okay.
Hello.
Yes. Hello.
Good afternoon. First of all, I wanted to say thank you for the insightful presentation on the Qatar rail system. I've been observing what you did on the Singapore new wayfinding system. And my last visit on Singapore, I had to go to Woodlands to visit the new Thomson East Coast to see your wayfinding.
Oh my God. Yeah. Okay.
I know. It's a lot of effort, but I enjoyed it. I enjoy Singapore too. My question is that you've taken a different approach in mapping the Singapore, the Qatar between Singapore. Well, I see that you did not implement caplets, the station number, like the one you did in Singapore.
Mm-hmm.
Why is that reason? Is it more of that locals doesn't understand what caplet is, or is it just something to do with functions? That's my question.
Okay, it's about stakeholder management, and it's about picking your battles. So it's easier for me to just beautify something rather than to completely uproot the system. So to introduce caplets on the map, I will have to change every single sign on the network. Like Yoshed in Japan, JR spent all the money to change the station code for every station. So while I do have that ambition, it could come in later when the time is right. Yeah, it's a lot more difficult for you to say the signage needs to change because I think this is important than to say the signage is going to change because someone bought a name, for example. Why don't we then add a new feature to it? So it's more about managing the situation. But you are right, having station code, I feel, is more effective. And in fact, yesterday we had a conversation about who uses station codes. We realized people who are not so language in tune with languages or reading station names, they do tend to rely on the station code. So it is helpful, especially for Qatar, which I realized I forgot to mention. More than 80% of Qatar's population are foreigners. So to give you some context, which I should have said way earlier, yeah, majority of the people there may not know Arabic or English. And the core group of commuters in the metro don't necessarily speak Arabic or English. So you are right, the caplet caplet is a Singapore term again. It's the shape that we use to identify each station or line. The same logic could be applied here in Qatar, just the timing is not there yet. Yeah. Thank you.
Again, thank you for the presentation. Well, I'm actually more curious about your work in Singapore because we are from Jakarta and we see Singapore as our city god. Everything that Singapore did, we will always copy.
Thank you. It's a compliment.
Yeah, but the question is, it's related to Singapore. That what I know is LTA is a bit notoriously hard to reach. So I would probably want you to, if you could elaborate, like, what's your strategy on trying to reach out, government agencies, especially when in this context, I'm from Transport for Jakarta, also advocacy group. It's so hard sometimes for us to, easily try to propose something good in terms of wayfinding design, and we might want to know also about the story with the LTA.
Okay, so I cannot speak from experience because I was very, very fortunate. I really don't know how the stars aligned. Somebody saw my project and it got sent to them. But the lesson here is the medium. So my professors back in school emphasized that, the medium is the message, you guys know that, choosing the right medium. I could have compiled my research into a book and presented on the table, and then nobody would have seen it, except if you come for the grad show. You wouldn't even have time to peruse it. So I chose the website as a medium because I needed it to be spread. I needed people to see it. So I would say your medium is a key point. And in Singapore, I don't know about Jakarta, but if you want to reach the Singapore government, it's very easy. You just need to complain. You just need to make a lot of noise. And enough people make noise, you will get the government's attention. I'm still a Singapore citizen, and I realize this is live stream. But the Singapore government really wants to listen to what the people has to say. So if it's an issue that is big enough and it really affects people, really the crowd helps. helps you build the case. So if, say, you want to redesign a map for Jakarta, right, you can upload it and have it go viral. Because that was exactly what happened. Someone else's map went viral before we launched our map, and it kind of derailed our plans. In a sense, it helped us because suddenly the whole country cares about map. It was very weird. We went from convincing the management to change the map, and they went like, yeah, I guess it's fine, it's a new map, to the minister wanting to speak to the design team because they care about the map. So it's like, yeah, the people matters. So I think you can go grassroots, talk to people, find out the truth, you know, go and, yeah, don't focus on the outcome so much. Focus on the people that you're trying to serve. Yeah, I hope that helps. Yeah.
Thank you.
One more question. Yes. Last question.
Thank you so much. This is bilingual identity. I'm focused now on Doha. Are there any specific challenges that you want to maybe warn people? Because this is something, for example, that's very present to what we do here, and that I face myself, where, you know, I don't know if you are fluent in Arabic or not, but then where you realize that even some aesthetic perception of the language might actually not be exactly what it is, because you have your own influences. And so you said, oh, Kashida, you can do whatever you want with that. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Then I got a big slap on the wrist by a calligrapher, because there's a very complex set of rules on Kashidas that I still don't master,
Yes.
not even remotely. So I was wondering if there's any specific, tip for when you're approaching bilingual identities that you want to share.
Okay, I actually love that you mentioned this because I forgot to add this in the slide. Okay, about Kashida, right? Actually, I'm very fortunate. I have a great designer working with me. She's Arabic and she's very good at it. So she will always scold me before I do anything stupid, contextually. And I can only recognize al, A-L, and M in Arabic, because those are the words that always appear on the map. And then for readers of Arabic, actually for the rest of us, right, we don't know. We noticed that Arabic readers naturally read things from right to left. And we don't mean reading text, we mean looking at objects. So literally, right, this slide would look a bit lopsided to them because they would expect the whole thing to be flipped. And that was something that's very mind-blowing for me because website UI is completely flipped. And because of that, our station name signs actually are redesigned to flip also. So we have line names here, line colors, station name in the middle, and then the exit codes. Yeah, so things like that, we try our best to match both, but in terms of wayfinding, say directions, it doesn't work. The arrows always take precedence. Yeah, so it's a tricky set of balance because I don't have that eye for it. My mind is always tuned to the left to right. So I will always check with my Arabic readers, my designers. They would tell me the sensibilities that would serve better. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.